Welcome to Angular Elements, a simple introduction by Chris Natras. In this tutorial, we're going to create an Angular application and use Angular Elements to expose an Angular component in a non-Angular HTML file. And here's a list of just some of the commands that we'll need to run to build this application. Okay, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is run ng-new and the name of our new application to create a new Angular application. Next, we can navigate into our application directory. Now that we have our Angular application set up, the first thing that we want to add is Angular Elements, and we can do that with ng-add. We also want to install this npm web components library. That's going to help us later on when we use this component in a non-Angular application. Next, we want to use ng-generate to create the component that we're going to expose in the non-Angular application. Okay, let's jump into VS Code now. Navigating through our application directory, we can go into App and Angular Element to see the component that we just created. Okay, so we're going to throw in some different HTML into our new component just to distinguish our application when we use it in the non-Angular app. Okay, so our app.component shows up by default when we create a new Angular application. We actually don't need that anymore, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. Over in our app module, we need to remove any reference to our app component, which does not exist anymore. For now, we just need the declarations and imports. And we also need to clean up our imports and add an import for injector and an import for create custom element. We also need to add the entry components as Angular element component so that when our application starts up, it knows to go to the Angular element component. Also, we're going to paste in the code that we need to initialize this custom element. We also have to add a ng-do-bootstrap method. In our index.html, we're going to remove all of the existing HTML and only use our custom element. And then we're going to verify that that custom element selector name does match what we have in our app module. Going over to our polyfill.ts, we actually want to remove the existing code and paste in the following. And this is referencing some of the code that we installed when we did that npm install for web components. Now go ahead and do a ng-serve to verify that our application does work. That's going to spin up the browser and it's going to show this very exciting website. But nevertheless, it's going to be something we can embed in a different website. Okay, now we're going to modify our build script in our package.json file, and we're also going to add a package script which will combine all of our Angular files into a single file we can use elsewhere. Now we can go to the command line and run npm run build, and then when that finishes, we can run npm run package. When this completes, look in your root directory and you're now going to see an elements.js file. Now I'm going to move into a new directory which only has an index.html, and this is a basic index.html. This is not an Angular application, and I've also moved that elements.js file into this directory also. The first step is to add a script reference to the elements.js, and then you can add a custom HTML element within the body. Now go ahead and open that index.html and you can see that the Angular component is now showing. Okay, to summarize, Angular Elements allows you to take regular Angular components and expose them as custom HTML elements. There's a little bit more setup than the average Angular feature. It's potentially a good tool for refactoring old applications. One little warning, do test this in the browsers that you expect to support. This may not work in some older browsers.